What would you do if you knew anything was possible for you? My name is Holly Moore, and I started an events company 10 years ago from scratch at my dining room table. Join me over the next few weeks, and hopefully at the end of it, you will see why anything truly is possible for you. Welcome to another episode of the Anything is Possible podcast. Now, our podcast today is virtual, and there's a good reason for that, because my wonderful guest, Joan Macdonald, is talking to us live from Tulum, Mexico. So for those of you that may or may not know Joan Macdonald is an Instagram sensation with 1.6 million followers. And her journey is a journey that started 6 years ago at the age of 70 when she discovered fitness and has transformed her life, not only in the fitness arena, but personally and with her own business now. I am so excited to speak to Joan today. Please don't turn off if you're not into fitness, because I think this podcast is going to inspire everybody on every level. So, Joan, welcome to the Anything is Possible podcast.
Thanks for inviting me, Holly. It's a pleasure to be here. I'd like to be there virtual, like really.
Let's make that goal. I think I need to join you in the gym in Tulum at some point and have a workout with you, definitely. So Joan, let's go back to 2016. You were 70 years old and you were living, I guess, a relatively normal life, and it was a doctor's appointment, I believe, that started to change things for you.
Yes, I had gone to the doctors, and because I haven't been able to keep my blood pressure on an even keel, they wanted to increase my medication, and I really didn't want any part of that. And my daughter was visiting, and I thought she already knew that I was on medication for blood pressure, but apparently she wasn't. And we were down in the basement doing a laundry, and coming up the stairs, she just couldn't believe how I had to go up one step at a time, and I was huffing and puffing. But I do have a shortness of breath because I've had rheumatic fever twice in my life, and I think it's affected my breathing. But anyway, she was very concerned for my health, and she was going. And I was looking after my mother, and she was in a nursing home. And she says, "You're going to end up like your mom. That's what's going to happen, and I won't be around." And when she put it to me like that, she says, "You have followed me, and I would like you to join my transformation group." There was 10 people in that group at that time, and she just threw down the gauntlet and says, "Look, you got to do something about your health, or you're going to end up in a nursing home yourself." And I didn't want any part of that, and I said, "Okay, let me think about it." So anyway, it took me a couple of days. I went to the gym with her and her husband, and while she was there, and I thought, I've got to do something. Like, I just can't go on the way my life is. I'm not happy. I look awful. I wouldn't look in the mirror or have a picture taken without hating it. So anyway, I said, "Okay, we'll try this." I says, "But you're down in Mexico and I'm here. How are we going to do this?" So they had given me an iPad, I think for Christmas or my birthday or something. So she showed me a bit about how to do that. And then she says, "I think maybe you need to come down to Mexico so we can get you, really started on this. You've got to learn how to eat properly, balanced meals. You got to cut out we had a lot of I guess, junk food, peanuts and stuff like that. And anyway, I said, okay, I'll do it. And that was a promise to myself. Sorry. Yeah. I couldn't give up. I had to keep going. So I went down to Mexico, or came down to Mexico for 2 weeks, I think it was. And they put me through the ringer, trying to get me started. Exercises, like some of them just seemed impossible for me. Today they're quite simple. But I was working with a 200-pound body, and that was kind of tough. So I sympathize with anyone that's overweight. I didn't even think I was that big until I saw the pictures of me, and I'm going, oh my God, like this is awful. So anytime I felt like throwing the towel in, I would think, you gotta keep going. And there were many calls I made when I got back to Canada, in tears. I just felt overwhelmed with what I had to learn. I didn't know anything about technology, very, very little. Yeah, I could turn on a computer, but I used the computer for looking up information or entertaining myself, because we didn't go out a lot at all. And it was almost as bad as during the pandemic. Yeah. Anyway, the first 6 months was a big eye-opener. I did everything Michelle said about, like, taking the measurements, taking the photos, all that stuff. And I could see that there was differences, changes in my body. Yeah. I don't like the scale so much. I just use it as a, what do we call it?
Like a guide?
Yeah, a guide more than anything. It was the measurements that were the key point. Right. Where, you put on clothes that you thought that were too small for you before, and you put them on and they're, you could put your arm right down your jeans type of thing. You had that much room and you're going, wow, this must be working. Yeah. So I think that was the incentive for me to keep, like, where is this going? Like, I'm not losing so much weight, but I'm losing size. How does that happen? And I had so many questions for them. Both her and her husband are online coaches. Yeah. And they're very successful coaches. And the federation that she's finally in, which is the WBFF, they use them as judges. Yeah. And MCs. So they're really top of the line. And it's not just because they're related to me, but they are. Yeah. They're very, very good at what they do. And they're not afraid to take advice or anything from anybody else. Yeah. Because that's how you grow. You work with other people. But anyway, within 2 months there was a fairly good change. And
really, that quickly?
Yeah, that I could see it was changing, and with having to take photos every week and put them against your original one. Yeah, that was that's a really wow for me. Yeah. And it is for anyone. So I try to make sure that people who are following me use the scale, not so much as a detriment to them, because 5 pounds of fat and 5 pounds of muscle are 5 pounds. Yeah. But fat takes up a lot more room. Yeah. Yeah. So it's learning to think more objectively about the exercises. Like, make sure. I've gone into gyms, I don't know if you have, and someone's picked up a weight and they're, they're going like this, and I'm going, you're not doing anything with your body.
Yeah.
You have to have a resistance. So the way that they teach is to, oh my God, I'm going to be bad here because I'm terrible when I'm trying to remember something. I always forget. It's
like a strength training as opposed to...
It's a strength training, yes, but it's resistance. Like you can get as much, not as much, but close to the same amount of muscle build with just resistant bands.
Yeah.
As long as you don't use anything too light. And I found this very helpful with people who are restricted to home.
Yeah.
So in my second year or third, I must have been into my third year before I started doing home videos for people to watch, so that you can do stuff at home. You might not have the money to buy the equipment, but there are things in your house that weigh.
Yeah.
Like weights. Yeah. You've got a can of paint. Like if you had a gallon of paint, you're trying to move it up and down a certain way. You're still going to get that resistance.
Yeah. So for our listeners, to give some context, Joan, as well. So Michelle is your daughter, and she got into fitness. And does she own the Tulum Strength Club?
Yes.
Yes, which
she does.
And we'll plug that at the end, and we'll put it in the show notes. So, is Michelle an only child, or are there other children?
No, she's a middle child.
Yeah.
I've got two others. I got two sons, one older and one younger.
So was fitness? So they're growing up in Canada. Was fitness part of your lives at all, or is that just a career path that she took independently?
She took independently. My sons were active in different things, but no, Michelle, and she's quite open with it. She became bulimic.
Right.
When she was quite young, and when she was out west, she went to medical school, and when she got her first year done, she decided it wasn't for her because it's a bandage.
Yeah.
Thinking, she wanted preventative.
Wow. Yeah.
So anyway, when she was 30, I think she got introduced to yoga.
Yes. Yeah.
And the mind thinking, and she's very, very, very intelligent.
Yeah.
So the mind thinking, because she's such a deep thinker.
Yeah.
Got her interested and focused, and she finally got over the bulimia.
Wow.
It was
a lot
of
our guests actually on this podcast, not necessarily into fitness, but have all said about meditation and that clearing of the mind and how important that is to them. So when did she move to Tulum then?
She'd been coming to Tulum, I think, since 2003 or 4.
Yeah.
And she just loved it here. Loved the freedom. She calls it the cowboy. It's like a Western.
Yeah.
Like it's a real true Western. She really loved the atmosphere here, and she was trying to figure out how she could live here and make a living.
Yeah.
So anyway, she met up. No, she had a friend who did a show on fitness, and she went and watched her, and she got really hooked on the girls that are in this are all fit, they're all beautiful, there's a common thread here. So it got her curious, and she reads like books and books and books.
Yeah.
And not just ordinary books, not fiction. It's all the good stuff. Anyway, she got really interested in it. She thought, I'm going to see if I can do something like that. So that's how she got hooked on the stage, and I think they decided to come here in 2000, and they've been here 7 years, I think.
So when she came
7 or 8
home,
years.
I guess, to see you in 2016, she'd been there a while. Can you now pinpoint, obviously you said that potentially medically you've got a shortness of breath anyway, but to have been overweight with high blood pressure, I think your cholesterol was high as well, wasn't it? I had acid reflux really, really bad. Yeah.
That's always feels like you're being choked to death. And I was taking medication for cholesterol, high cholesterol.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I asked the doctor to see, what my numbers were, and I was not impressed with that. I thought, my numbers are not that bad. Why am I taking medication for that? So I asked them, and then they said, it's a maintenance dosage so that it doesn't get worse.
Wow.
And I just don't understand why everyone over 40, pretty much, has to be on medication.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not preventative, and it should be preventative. I got off my medication within the year.
Yeah.
I asked my doctor, I says, if I can lose weight and get my blood pressure down, would you help me?
Yeah.
And she was very willing.
Yeah.
And she monitored me, and it got to the point where my blood pressure was going down too much.
Yeah.
And I was starting to pass out.
Wow.
So, she just kept decreasing, and then by October of that year, 2017, I was off all the medication. I wasn't troubled with the acid reflux, because that's part of, all the weight that you have around your midriff.
Right.
That will cause problems with acid reflux, because it's choking your peritoneal cavity.
And when did all this start, Joan? Because we're talking about you making the change at 70, but at what age would you say these health problems crept up on you? Because we've got listeners, from in their 20s to their 80s. Like, when did you see...
I believe I was on medication for 15 years.
Wow. So since you were about 55, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
I didn't really believe that I needed it, because my life was in a kind of a flux where I wasn't happy. I was not happy with how my life was.
Talk to us about that then. Was that purely on a physical point of view? You said you didn't like having a photo taken. Was it physical, or you mentioned you didn't go out that much? Was it a combination of everything?
It was a combination. It's not that I was never happy, but if I caught a glimpse of myself reflected back, it would take my joy away.
Right. Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
And when did that when did that start to happen? Was it like that in your teenagers, or was it purely
no.
post 40?
No, it's later on in life.
Yeah. So that got you to that point. You went over to Mexico and started on this transformation. And just so, how did that start from you? From really not going to the gym, how many times a week did you commit to? What did you have to cut out from food as well? What were the big changes in the beginning?
Cut out junk food.
And your version of junk food was it chocolate, alcohol?
Yep, all that stuff. I wasn't much of a drinker to begin with.
Yeah. So
that wasn't a big thing.
Yeah.
I know I've got lots of friends that love their wine.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But you've got to. It's empty calories.
Yeah.
It doesn't help, and it's actually poison to the body. Whether and I know a lot of people don't want to listen to that or believe it, but it is. Yeah. If it doesn't do you any good, why do it? And I had to think about that part of it. I had to know that I was doing something good for my body.
Yeah.
And you can eat anything. It's the combination, and it's when you eat.
Yeah.
So I have my larger meals before and after my workout, and I do my workouts mainly in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's remembering a lot of this stuff, like do your fruits, do your starches in the early part of the day so you can wear them off.
Yeah.
Don't do them at night.
Yeah.
I couldn't eat as much as she wanted me to at the beginning. I was
about that then, because you said, I think I've watched on a YouTube video, you used to have a couple of meals a day and then snack. Before. So what was she typically telling you to eat then in a day when you first started?
Eat your meals every 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
So you have 5 meals.
Yeah.
So if I started at 8 o'clock, I would end at 8 o'clock type of thing.
Right. Like a 12-hour window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, you do your bigger meal before and after your workout. And mine was always in the morning.
Yeah.
Because I felt I needed to wake up my body.
Yeah.
So that was a good way of doing it. I felt so much better. Even if I didn't want to go to the gym, I would still go. I started off 4 days a week. There was 3 workouts and 1 was yoga.
Oh,
so stretching was a big thing.
Yeah.
Stretching was a good thing. And I've got yoga moves in almost every day.
Yeah.
Like with my warm-ups and my cool-downs. And even during, the workouts, I may have moves that are yoga moves.
Yeah.
Because Michelle was a Bikram teacher.
Yeah.
She got hers, and she showed me a lot of stuff. I have very bad balance.
Yeah. Oh, I do too.
And it's getting better.
Yeah.
Like when you do the strength training, you do your upper, then the next day your lower body.
Yeah.
Upper, lower. I'm 5 days a week now.
Yeah.
And I do a little bit of cardio on my workout days, but I do my main cardio on my 2 days that I have free. And I don't usually have my free days together.
Yeah.
Like I do 3 a day off, 2 a day off.
And what does your cardio look like then on your days off? Is that walking or is it running?
I like biking.
Oh, right, yeah.
I like to use my bike. And I use it a lot here I did it in Canada too, but I use it a lot to get around because that's my only way of transportation is by my bike or my walking.
Yeah. So give us some stats. So what can you squat? What can you deadlift? Give us some.
Oh my goodness.
Some weights, some PBs.
What's the other one that I do? Hip thrust.
Oh yeah. What's your? I got PB the other day. What's yours?
Oh my God.
Are they going to show me up?
215.
What's that in kilograms? Or is that kilograms? No. 95, Joan. That's amazing.
Kilograms, yeah. What's the other one? The
Thruster?
leg
press.
Leg press?
Yeah.
Leg press I can do altogether 320.
So you started on this journey 4 times a week. You're now doing 5 times a week with your cardio. Do you know how you've changed your body composition? Do you know your body fat percentage?
My body has changed considerably.
Yeah. I mean, you look like you're really, when you look at the photos, and we'll put them up on the podcast, your transformation photos, it's not that just you've lost weight, your muscles are massive, you've got really big muscles.
Oh, my arm.
Your arm, the guns, look at that. So that is just consistently training, increasing your weight, it's consistency. Yeah. So, I guess were you retired when you started training or, so you had time?
Yeah. So, yeah, I belonged to a gym 10 years prior to that, but I I'm on a pension, so I was only able to save up money and maybe do a month, get a trainer for a month at a time. And I did pretty good with that, but there was nothing about nutrition. And nutrition is at least 50, if not 60% of the composition changing.
Yeah.
Like so that is a main thing.
If you were going to give, so somebody out there, let's say they go to the gym and they do strength training, they go 4 or 5 times a week, but their nutrition is not great. What are the 5 things that you would say to somebody to change in your nutrition to get those results?
Okay, minimum 3 liters of water a day.
Well, now, why do you say that? I know we're told to. I'm terrible with water. I have to add cordial to it to drink it. Just tell us why that is so important.
You have to keep your body hydrated. You want to keep flushing out your bladder and kidneys, right?
Yeah.
Some people drink up to 5 liters of water a day. The more you can drink, but I'm saying the minimum is 3 liters.
And can that be with some cordial, no added sugar cordial? Can it be sparkling water, or does it need to be pure water?
It should be water, but I use a light sweetener.
Yeah.
Not a sweetener, but a flavor.
Like a flavor.
The little flavor things. Sugar. Try to stay away from the sugar.
Yeah. What about
it does
sweeteners?
Not, yeah.
As in no added sugar cordial, could you use that?
Yeah, if it's got stevia in it or some kind of a sweetener that's plant-based.
Plant-based, yeah.
And has no calories in it, that's best to do. You should have at least 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah. And
try to be in bed at the same time. So that changed my whole, I'm in bed at 9 o'clock sleeping. And I get up early. So I get my 8 hours sleep that way.
And why is, again, Joan, just for people that are really starting on that journey, why is that so important? So for someone like me, I do get up at 6 o'clock every morning because I like to train early, but I struggle going to bed early because I'll end up being at work late, so I won't get in till late. How, for somebody like me that physically at the moment can't find that much time to sleep, and I do feel like I function okay on 6 hours, why is that 8 hours so important?
Your body has to use all the nutrients that it's had to build your muscle.
Okay.
And with macros, it's a balanced meal. You've got protein.
Yeah.
And always have protein in every meal.
Yeah.
The more, the better.
Yeah.
So it's protein, carbs, and good fats.
Yeah. Like
your avocado. You can use nuts, but you have to limit them.
Yeah.
Don't mindlessly eat
dry
handfuls
roasted
of peanuts. You put a dish of peanuts beside they're gone before you know it, because you just keep doing it. Stay away from the junk foods. What's the other thing? Meditation is great, and meditation could be just sitting quietly and breathing deeply. You don't have to be thinking about anything. Just take 5 minutes to yourself and just let your body relax. That is so important. The mindset is a great thing. So that reading a lot of books about mindset, like The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, Darren Donnelly has a lot of good books, like Think Like a Warrior.
Okay.
They're all about thinking deeply and making the best out of your life. It just helps to ground you. That's why the mindset is a real. We keep talking to ourselves in our heads. That negative stuff. And getting that out out there. And like, I was terrible at taking a compliment. I'd always have a comeback that was like negate that compliment.
Yeah.
And it was my son-in-law that was really good at that. Can you not take a compliment? Just say thank you. I'm going.
You get loads of flames now on your Instagram.
Oh, it was just too hard to do that without turning it around and being negative about it.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it as being negative. It's how you're brought up. It's kind of funny. You don't really think about what you're doing.
Yeah.
You just do things sort of mindlessly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think another thing was the trying to slow down my eating.
Yeah.
It was just something I thought I had to get through.
Yeah.
You should be enjoying the meal. You should be enjoying any company that you have, making eye contact with people when you're talking to them.
For anyone that's going to look at you now on Instagram and on YouTube and everything, the transformation is truly amazing. And not actually only in your physical appearance, in the way that you look. Your hair's different, your makeup's different. Like, you definitely look like you've got a spring on your step. Is that everything? Before we come on to your kind of new career as a social media influencer, is there anything you missed from your old life?
Yeah, just being with my friends.
Yeah,
being with people. But I'm surrounded with people. But there's a difference.
So you mean compared to
most people are strangers to me. I still have my friends. They have been really, really great with me. They've backed me up. They've never, sneered at me or anything like that. I didn't get any negativeness that way. And any negativeness I get now on social media is very little. And I've learned to just get rid of them.
Yeah. And that's probably having a strong mindset, isn't it? The mindfulness.
It was, it's been a struggle. I must say, it's been a struggle. I'm not, I think I probably listened to too many people and took feedback from them. I like to find the best in others, and I bide my time before I actually make a judgment.
Yeah, I'm the same.
It's like you can't jump to conclusions. There's so many things that are influencing everyone else's life, and you don't know what that is. So you got to be kind of careful with judging anybody. I followed my daughter right from the get-go when she first started doing these. I'm pretty sure it was 2000, maybe 9 or 10 when she started, and what she's done for so many people's lives is fabulous, including myself. I've got to give her full credit, and myself, because she can only tell you what to do. You have to do it.
Yeah.
And it's like when people say, how do you start? Movement. You have to start by moving. You can't wish for a change in your life. You have to actually make it happen.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing for a lot of people to accept. How do you start? Well, you take one step at a time. It's just like the Alcoholics Anonymous, like one day at a time. Just do the best that you can. Work at it. Make it happen. If you really want it, you can make it happen. There's nothing stopping you except you.
It's like, I don't know if you know Tony Robbins. He's the American motivator.
Oh,
yeah. So I've followed him for quite a long time. That one thing that really stuck with me that he said is that for people to change, the basically the pain of staying where they are has to outweigh the pleasure. So for example, like the pain of being overweight and the pleasure you can get from chocolate and alcohol and all those indulgences and not doing anything, suddenly the pain outweighs that, and that's what forces you to change. And to your point, as I said to you earlier, you know, I didn't step foot in a gym till I was 30. And two reasons I did. One was, oh, I can't eat what I want anymore like I used to and not put on any weight.
Yeah.
Because it suddenly creeps up on you. And then two was mental health. And the doctor told me that it would be, it would be really good for mental health. And, at first I literally did just say, well, if I walk in that gym 3 times a week, even if I do 15 minutes, I physically put my gym gear in, I've walked in. And then, of course, you build it up and you discover how you like to train and how you enjoy training. And, and whether that is weightlifting that you do, whether it's trampoline, this new craze of trampolining, like it's finding what you enjoy. I think.
But the weightlifting really helps with the bone density too.
Yes. Yeah.
It may not reverse it.
Yeah.
But it will stop it from progressing.
Yeah.
You got to remember that if you're from being young to being in your 70s, that's a lot of time that you're not, if you haven't been doing training, that your muscles get slack and slack and slack, and then it's hard to get it back again. But I'm not as bad as I was when I started, but it's still never going to be what I was when I was 20. And it's not about looking all that great, but that's a bonus.
Yeah.
But it's feeling like if you're healthy, money can't buy health. Mm-hmm. I've come to that conclusion quite a while ago, and I think that was one of the things that was making me very unhappy. Was I wasn't feeling healthy, and I didn't know how to not, or to get that way. I wanted to be healthy, but I had to understand the food that I ate was what made me healthy.
Yeah.
But that's why if you've ever been to a nursing home,
I have, yeah.
Or had anyone in a nursing home, you know what they feed them. Well, it's all carbs.
Yeah, rubbish.
Very little protein.
Yeah.
And then they give them all these medications, and it's just like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be professionals.
Yeah.
Like, you want these people to just exist.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. They exist until they finally die. Mm-hmm. There's nothing in there to give them a zest for life. This is what we're after. Get out of the mind thinking that life is finished when you're 40. It's not. It's only starting. Because you're going through menopause, and yes, a lot of crap happens when you're in menopause. But not everyone has to go on medication. Yeah. I went on medication for that. I thought, rightly or wrongly, that if at least I had one ovary, and I had just one ovary left, I figured that should get me through. And it doesn't last forever. It's going to go away eventually. But I would go through that yo-yo stage of dieting.
Yeah.
Nothing lasts because you get bored of it.
Yeah.
And I wanted something that was sustainable.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I finally followed my daughter and got it. It finally came. Eating balanced meals, working out, and it's just that I've got this byproduct where she started me on Instagram that actually grew, and I had.
Well, that was going to
down.
be my next question. So you've transformed your life and the way you look, and now you've also kind of given yourself a career with your 1.6 million Instagram followers and 83,000 YouTube followers, I think, subscribers. I don't
even know. I don't even know the numbers.
Like, tell us how that happened. Were you on Facebook anyway? Like, how did this whole, like, kind of, it's a little business now, isn't it? Because, I mean, you're an ambassador for Women's Best. You do podcasts, you do talks. How did that all grow?
It just did. And people were interested, and I'm going, why are they interested in me? I couldn't. And I still find it difficult when people will recognize me, and some of them will recognize me from behind, and I'm going, how do they do that? Like, I don't even know what I look like behind. It boggles my mind. Everyone I've met on these podcasts or interviews that I've been doing, I just find them so friendly, like yourself. It's just like talking to a friend. It gets easier and easier. I would get so paranoid, like even I still do, because I don't think that I'm upset or nervous about it, but when I can't sleep at night, I know it's the subconscious is coming to the forefront, and I can't sleep properly.
Did you sleep
I
last
should have
night?
taken something last. Yeah, I should have taken something last night, like calm. Get calm. But I'm always pleasantly surprised.
And how did it grow then? Did you just do a post and, I know Michelle helps you with the Instagram, doesn't she? But
yeah, Michelle puts my posts up. We usually agree on what is being put up, and we do there's certain things that we do every so many weeks, when she does the posts, and it generates more and more interest. We found out, like by trial and error, what brings people to it, and what is sort of iffy.
And what is it? What are the things that people are drawn to?
They like to see my before and afters.
Yeah.
As I progress, and they really like to know what I'm eating.
Yeah.
Which I find that's kind of funny, but anyway, they're actually they're interested in every aspect of my life, and I just I'm surprised by that. I didn't think I was anything out of the ordinary. I still don't think I'm anything out of the ordinary. I've done something extraordinary for someone that's ordinary.
I think your story, it is extraordinary. And I think you've also mentioned, even though you're 76, you want to speak to that unheard group, which is the 40 to 50-year-olds, that there seems to be kind of a gap for them. And I think, that your story, although you started at 70, I think is going to be so inspirational for those younger than you as well. Maybe those mums that have had kids and think that they can't get back in the gym, or they've not got time, or my body's changed now, it's never going to go back. Like, I think you will be an inspiration to those people.
That's true. It is true. It's changing the way people think, because it's been such a male-dominated society, and there are women out there that are mind-blowingly brilliant, and they need to be recognized. It doesn't matter who you are, what race, I don't care. You're a person, If you've got something that is extraordinary, you should be able to bring it to the forefront. There's nothing that should ever stop you, especially age. It's got nothing to really do with it. Hopefully we get wiser as we get older, but it's not a given. in any walk of life, whether it be man or woman. I have most of my followers really are younger.
Yeah.
From 25 to 35 are the major ones. I hear from people from all over the world. I just want women to realize your life is not over. I don't care what anyone else says. It's not over until it's up to you to make a point.
Yeah.
That you have a life. You have a message to pass on. I'm sure you're like changing your attitude towards the gym. I didn't want big muscles or anything. They must have been hidden underneath everything. Like I didn't know.
Yeah.
I know I was strong, but I've always been someone that is not afraid of hard work.
Yeah. So I've got two more questions before we bring the podcast to a close. Now, when I was doing my research about you, Joan, I couldn't find really anything about your husband, and there he was. He popped up on Instagram last week. So, I mean, my research ended. Tell us about Norm. You've got Norm in the gym.
Finally got him into the gym, and he's doing pretty good for someone who had, he's 81 years old.
Wow. And how did that happen? How did you persuade him to join you?
Well, I think it was just not being with me. I was here a lot, and he didn't want to travel. And, he's decided to come away with me. And part of the bargain was that he try to strengthen his limbs.
Wow.
Yeah.
And hasn't he found it difficult to change? Because, again, what Tony Robbins will say is when one half of a partnership makes a massive change to their life, be that physical, mental, whatever, it can be hard for the other partner because they can feel a little bit left behind. Did that happen with you, or, was it hard for him to understand your journey?
I think he it took a while for him to cotton on, because I remember him when I first started making fun of me that it took longer to measure out my food than it did to eat it. And it was true.
Yeah.
But I had to learn.
Yeah.
It's a learning process. He's not 100% into, figuring out the food part of it. So I just go ahead and make the meals, and he'll eat them. He's not hard to please.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, well, I'm excited to see him and his journey on Instagram. And lastly, Joan, we say age isn't a barrier, and you're only 76. So tell me, what is next for Train with Joan?
Well, we have a book coming out.
Oh, wow.
I can't say too much about it yet. We still haven't finished doing the filming for pictures and stuff like that. I don't know. I just sort of go with the flow. I leave the choosing of what's going to happen, because I want to enjoy my life as well, and I spend an awful lot of time on the phone for Instagram and that, and I just, every time I think about not going forward, I think I can't let these people down. I feel very responsible for changing the lives of people. I just, some of them will never change because they feel too comfortable in where they are, even though they don't like where they are. They just can't take that step. And if I'll just keep giving the same message, and if they keep following me, they will eventually, which I have had people, I've been following you for years, and now I want to do something about it, and it's true. You have to repeat and repeat in order to pique the interest.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to say that I am definitely going to come to Tulum at some point. It's somewhere on my bucket list that I want to go to. So hopefully I will meet you in the flesh, and we'll maybe even do a workout together.
That would be great.
And so this podcast is called Anything is Possible. So can you just tell our listeners, Joan, what does anything is possible mean to you?
It means that there's nothing out there that I can't try.
Great.
At least try.
Love it.
Everyone should at least give a solid, good effort on anything that they want to try. And you'll be amazed at what you can do when you put your mind to it.
Nobody's actually said it in that context before. And actually, that's really interesting, that there are things that we think we might not be great at, but even if we just try them once, enjoy it and don't do them again, at least we've tried and can say that we've done it. I love that. So to conclude this podcast, I remember when I wanted to make Anything is Possible a dream and do our own empowerment conference, which we are going to launch. And I remember saying to somebody, oh, what if I don't do it soon? I'm going to be too old. And they said to me, well, who are the people that inspire you? Which at the time was Tony Robbins, who's in his 60s, and Oprah, that's in her 60s, two huge influences on me. And you are another influence. Like, I think of everything that you've done in the last 6 years, and I hope that your story just inspires anybody who has that silly thought of, oh, I'm too old for that. You're not too old. You can try anything at any age.
And I don't think of myself as old.
Yeah.
I think of myself as, I keep forgetting that I am old and wrinkled and all the rest of it, then going, but I don't feel old. If I don't feel old, I'm not old.
And you're like lifting 95 kg hip thrust, Joan, so I mean, that's all you need to say. Oh, well, listen, Thank you so much. I will put everything in the show notes, but I strongly advise people to look at the Tulum Strength Club. I think you do retreats and you can go there if you're visiting Tulum, so definitely look at that. Follow Joan on Instagram, Train with Joan, and YouTube. And Joan, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you today.
Thank you so much for having me, Holly. And my daughter, I think she should get a plug for this too, which is
plug.
Your Healthy Hedonista.
We will tag her in all the show notes. She's brilliant. I follow her too. So yeah, thank you very much. And go and work out. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Talk to you again. Bye-bye.